The Edmonton Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens' game last night had something pretty significant in common with the only previous game of the year between the two. I'll tell you all about it, but first, only 2.7% of our viewers do subscribe, so please consider hitting that subscribe button if you like the channel. The first half of last night's hockey game was, I guess, somewhat perplexing. Connor McDavid would open the scoring with a beautiful move in the first period to make it 1-0 Edmonton, before trade deadline acquisition Adam Henrique would poke home his first goal as an Oiler to double Edmonton's lead. However, if you take the first 40 minutes as a whole, the Montreal Canadiens largely outplayed Edmonton. They outshot them in both of the first two periods, and they did manage to limit the Oilers to predominantly creating their chances off the rush. There wasn't too much time where Edmonton actually managed to set up in the offensive zone for an extended period of time in the first 40 minutes. And the Oilers' defense, they bent, but they didn't break in the first two periods, even without Vincent Desharnais in the lineup, and that was largely thanks to a strong Calvin Pickard performance. He was very solid. Montreal, though, came out of the gates in the third period really fast, and after Nick Suzuki would be credited with an early goal that ended up going in off Cody Ceci's skate, the Habs would score again very quickly, and it was former Edmonton Oil King Caden Gooley taking a stretch pass and beating Calvin Pickard under the glove. The Gooley goal truly seemed to wake the Oilers up, because for the final 15 minutes of the third period, Edmonton dominated Montreal. They created so many grade A scoring chances, both on the power play and 5-on-5, and they had more than a few shifts where they had Montreal completely pinned in the zone for an extended period of time. But despite the pressure, Edmonton just couldn't get the puck past Samuel Montembeault, and despite all the time Edmonton spent in the Montreal end of the ice, it was actually a play in the neutral zone that ended up being the most important play of the third period. Joel Armia of the Montreal Canadiens clipped Henrique with a high stick, and the ensuing bloody nose from Henrique gave the Oilers a 4-minute power play, over 3.5 minutes of which would carry over into overtime, giving Edmonton the opportunity to end the game 4-on-3. The first power play unit would start overtime, but none of McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, or Nugent-Hopkins really even had a chance, thanks to Montreal's penalty kills shutting them down the entire shift. The second power play unit came out after, and they forced Montembeault to make a couple strong saves before the first unit hopped back on. Connor McDavid quickly found the puck in the offensive zone, and after this beautiful little give and go with Darnell Nurse, he slipped a great pass towards Leon Draisaitl, who fired home the overtime winner. That gave Edmonton their second overtime win over Montreal this season, and second win coming thanks to an overtime power play goal. Don't forget, it was Evan Bouchard early in the year who scored on the power play in overtime, and that's of course what the two games between Edmonton and Montreal had in common so far this year. Both Edmonton Oilers wins in overtime thanks to power play goals. Now, back to this game, one of my most strongly held sporting opinions is that the teams that end up being the most successful are the ones who always just kind of find a way to win. It's the team that's best at getting that victory in any kind of adverse situation, whether that's playing a third string goalie, whether that's missing some important players, or even just winning a game that maybe you were outplayed. And I think that's what gives me so much confidence in this season's Edmonton Oilers, because since Kris Knoblauch took over, this team has consistently found a way to win in any way. It might be outgunning a team in a high-scoring offensive battle, or winning a very tightly fought low-scoring game, or in last night's case, winning a game in which you didn't necessarily outplay the weaker opponents in front of you, and you let a 2-0 lead slip away. That's important to a team being successful, because the truth is, expecting the absolute best possible performance from a team 82 games a year, it's not realistic. But teams who find a way to win no matter what is a positive. So even though you look at last night's game and you think, well, it was closer than it should have been, you look at both teams' positions in the standings, Edmonton way at the top, Montreal at the bottom. Edmonton finding a way to earn the win through, an adverse situation. It was a tough game for them, but finding a way to win is important come playoff time, because you're not going to dominate every game. You're not going to have your best effort every game, but fine margins. You need every victory you can get. Edmonton's Leon Draisaitl and Mattias Ekholm, along with Montreal's Nick Suzuki, were named the game's 3 stars, but in truth, I think Mattias Ekholm he could have got all 3 stars last night. He was fantastic. He was consistently the best Edmonton Oiler on the ice. You look at the first goal, it was Ekholm's pinch and check on Montreal's Joey Anderson that led to Connor McDavid getting the puck to work his way in and open the scoring. And of course, McDavid's going to surely receive the plaudits for the finish because it was a fantastic finish, but the goal wouldn't have happened without Ekholm's contribution. He was a little bit more directly involved in the second goal, threading that pass to Adam Henrique. And along with the involvement in Edmonton's scoring, Ekholm's shutdown defense was a large part of the reason Edmonton held Montreal scoreless through 2 periods. He was excellent. And I just wanted to give Mattias Ekholm the credit he deserves because he was really, really good last night. The last bit of news to bring you today isn't actually directly Edmonton Oiler news, but it's NHL news because the NHL's general managers meeting wrapped up earlier this week, and there have been 2 small rule tweaks announced. First off, perhaps a little bit more inconsequentially, players are no longer allowed to drape their legs over the boards in preparation to come on for a line change. That's a move meant to protect the safety of referees and linesmen. Obviously, linesmen are very often riding that board, so if there's skate blades in the way, they can skate into them and potentially hurt themselves. So it does make sense. It'll be a little bit of an adjustment at first, but I'm sure it won't impact the game too much. The other 2 changes are more likely to be impactful. They both surround coaches' challenges and what coaches can challenge, because coaches are now going to be able to challenge high sticking and delay of game penalties. For instance, friendly fire high stick gets called. The coach of the team that took the penalty can challenge the play to say, well, it wasn't my player, it was the other player's teammate that hit him with the high stick. Delay of game, for instance, coaches will be able to challenge if the puck went out cleanly, if it deflected off something. Of course, for a delay of game penalty, it has to be the defending player putting the puck directly over the glass. So the challenge would be, well, it hit a stick and the referee didn't notice it. Personally, my opinion on this is a little bit complicated, because I'm a strong advocate for the referees to get as many calls correct as possible, but I am, like many others, also kind of disillusioned with both the volume and the time consumption of video reviews as it is right now. Truth is, only time will tell if this move will be a positive or a negative, and that's it for today's Oilers Digest. Thank you for watching.